Hi, my name is Michelle, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the history of my hometown, Lansing, Michigan. And the research I did was off the internet, and the sites I used were lansingmichigan.gov, Wikipedia, lansing.org, livingplaces.com, and codl.org. Now, did you know that Lansing was not the first site of the capital? What I'm going to do today is tell you about Lansing becoming the capital, historic events in Lansing, and famous people who were born here. Now, to begin with, in winter of 1835, two brothers from New York, they platted an area, now it's known as Riotown. And they named that, though, Biddle City. And Biddle City, as they named it, was all floodplains. It was all covered with water most of that year. So what they did was they went back to Lansing, New York, where they lived, and they sold plots of this fake city to people. And they told the people in New York that the city had 65 city blocks, a church, public and academic square. So 16 different men bought plots, and then a year later they all came down here to see their land, and they found out that they were scammed. So a lot of them were depressed and mad and left, but the ones that did stay, they decided to name it Lansing Township, from where they're from, Lansing, New York. So until about 1847, only less than 20 people lived in Lansing Township. So now it was made the capital after, first of all, the capital started in Detroit, Michigan. It was there from 1805 to 1847. And then in 1847, to try to promote settlement in the inner regions of the state and to move the capital further from Canada for safety reasons, they wanted away from the Canada border. So they moved it to Lansing in 1847. And they did have other places they considered, Ann Arbor, Jackson, Grand Rapids, and also Shiawassee Township. But they picked Lansing even though they thought it was like a pretty nothing town because there was nobody here but 20 people. So after Lansing was the capital, it started building, of course, and the legislature named it the town of Michigan. So it was Michigan, Michigan. But in 1848, the original name Lansing was restored. So it took over 12 years from the time Lansing was made the capital city and the capital was moved here for it to be named an actual city. So in 1859, it was signed by William Greenlee, and about 1859, the population was about 3,000 people. And this is showing you the pictures of the Capitol. This is the first Capitol building from 1865 that they had in Lansing, and that was the second one that was built in 1879, the one that's here now. And this is just a building in downtown Lansing on Allegan and Washington. And this is in 1920, and this building still stand downtown Lansing.
So Lansing came to be because of a big scheme.
All right. Now, eventually, in 1850, the Constitution said that it had to have the creation of an agriculture school. So in 1855, Lansing established an agriculture college of the state of Michigan. Now, it was the first land grant college, and when it first opened, it had 3 buildings, 5 faculty members, and 63 male students. And that was 1855. So in 1870, women were allowed into the college, and in 1899, it had its first African-American student come. Well, in 1964, it became known as MSU, Michigan State University. So in 1897, another event is Ransom E. Olds. He founded Olds Motor Vehicle Company, and then the city became an industrial powerhouse. What really made Lansing start running is when he came and did that. And I want to tell you now about a hotel called Kearns Hotel. It was built in 1909 by William Kearns and his family. It was a big deal because it's the first hotel to have running ice water in all 162 of their rooms. And it was also the bus station at Lansing until 1932. But in 1934, in December, a fire broke out, a horrible fire. It killed 32 people on there, injured 44, and 7 of them were Michigan legislators who were there for a meeting. So the Lansing Fire Department, they actually still regard that as the worst fire in Lansing history. Now what I'm moving on to my final thing is famous people from Lansing. Now, first one I'm going to talk about is Irvin Magic Johnson, and a lot of people know of him. He was born August 14th, 1959. He went to Everett and then on to MSU. And everybody knows he played for the Lakers for 13 years. We also have Steven Seagal. He was born here April 10th, 1952. And he lived here until he was about 5 years old. His mother was a medical assistant. His father was a teacher. We have Donald Keek. A lot of you won't know him, but he was born January 2nd, 1941. He's a research physicist and engineer, and he helped develop the low-loss optical fiber. And also we have Malcolm X. He wasn't born here, but he did move here. He has an interesting story. In May 19, 1925, he was born in Omaha. His family fled from the KKK to they ended up in Lansing. And in about 1929, their house here got burnt down by KKK members. And then also on September the 8th, 1931, his father, Earl Little, was killed by a streetcar in Lansing. And there are claims that he was murdered, that the KKK actually had done that, but it was never proven. And he actually lived on Vincent Court in MLK, Malcolm X did, and there was a plaque there now showing that he lived there once. And these are just pictures of the plaques. That's for the Kearns Hotel, which was on the corners of Grand and Michigan Avenue. And this is the plaque for Malcolm X that's on the corner of Martin Luther King and Vincent Court. Okay, so, well, that is the conclusion of my speech. I hope you enjoyed it. In Lansing, I've lived here my whole life, and I think it's a great town. And in 2010, we had a population of 114,000 people. So we definitely grew.